As the lights were turned off, the inside of the garage became pitch black. Amane was operating some kind of machine. Then on the wall where all the boxes were... Yeah. Then on the wall where all the boxes were before, a PC screen appears. It's a projector! It's a projector! Like in a movie theater. We're going to watch an instructional video. Oh wait, could you come over here? Sitting down in the chair that Amane had prepared, I was handed a computer game controller. I knew it! I knew it! What are we doing? Like I said, you're going to fly. This is a flight simulator. Flight simulator? I've heard of them, but I'm not exactly sure what they are. I hope I actually get to play it. It's like a computer game that simulates the experience of flight. And if you don't actually fly, you can, to some extent, learn the controls and the feeling of a glider. I don't really understand, but it sounds pretty good. Is this commercially available? No, I made it myself. Oh my god, she's a programmer as well, good lord. This is the topography of Kazagura, and is a simulator specifically for our glider. Oh jeez. At Amane's command, the screen changes. The town of Kazagura that we all know, shown as a landscape as viewed from the air, is projected onto the wall. This is shown in pretty CG that is at least on the level of the cutscenes of RPGs on the latest consoles. She really is amazing. Ajia mumbles while looking at the screen being projected. This was updated with the latest data yesterday. You should be able to get a very realistic sense of flying. Okay. I show that I am impressed with Amane's amazing work and get myself fired up. Well then, let's begin. A glider modeled in CG appears on the screen. It's also CG. I CG it all over the place. Before you learn the controls, I will explain the movements of the glider. The glider movements can be explained as a rotation of 3 axes: longitudinal, lateral, and vertical. First is rolling. On the screen, the longitudinal, I hope I'm saying that right, axis that runs along the length of the fuselage, and the movement based on the rotation on that axis were displayed. This movement is called rolling. Next is pitching. You know, I could just play GTA and know it. This time, the lateral axis came out sideways from the fuselage, and the movement based on the rotation on this axis was shown. This movement raises and lowers the nose and is known as pitching. Then finally there's yawing. I nearly said yawning. Going through the fuselage vertically was the vertical axis, and the movement based on the rotation along this axis was displayed. This movement, yawing, moves the nose left and right. Oh my god, it's like an educational visual novel. With sex, I guess. These are the 3 basic movements of the glider, do you understand? Yeah, yes, I think so. No matter how complex the maneuvers made by the glider are, the truth is they are all combinations of these 3 movements. That's why the pilot only needs to know how to operate these 3 movements. I see, so the basics are quite simple then. Gatori and Ajia are listening to the conversation and nodding along. Okay, with that in mind, let's try actually operating it. Amane selects the mode and the PC and the screen change again. The sky and the horizon... Oh my god, I'm so dumb. The sky and the horizon are projected across the wall. Is this the view? Is that the view of the cockpit? Yes, that's right. Wow, so this is what it looks like? The glider is already flying through the air, but because I'm used to video games, this feels incredibly slow. It doesn't really feel like it's moving forward at all. Except for takeoff and landing and some other special cases, there are 2 things you need to control. Yeah, the yoke and the rudder pedal. Why does she look so voluptuous when she talks like this? I've seen the cockpit many times, so I know about that. Okay, let's turn that on. We'll press that. Turn this. I don't know why this is in English, but you know. The yoke is the stick that comes out from between the pilot's legs. I've seen some scenes in movies where pilots are flying fighter planes and their yoke... I hope I'm saying that right. The yoke, the yoki, is the thing that they are holding onto. It has a button on it, and if you push it, it launches missiles. Of course, the glider doesn't have anything like that, unless it does. It's like the steering wheel in a car. Then there are the left and right rudder pedals, one of each, and are operating by pushing them with your feet. The controller corresponds to each one. The left analog stick is the yoke, the L and the R are the buttons of the buttons of the. I'll try the analog stick and the L and R buttons on the gamepad. It's a little slow, but the field of vision in the center of the screen swings around. Whoa! If you get careless, it will stall and fall into the ground, so watch out. Okay. First is the yoke. This controls 2 of the 3 movements that I explained just now, rolling and pitching. If you move it left or right, the fuselage, I'm not saying that right, am I? Will roll in that direction. I move the analog stick, in other words, the yoke. I'm just going to call it the yoke. Slowly to the left. Level out. Take the shot. It's a little slow, but the aircraft responds. The horizon in the middle of the screen leans to the right. What makes the aircraft lean when you move the yoke? Good question. This is because the yoke controls the ailerons. Aliens? The alien isolation? It's like Tori has a big question mark on her face, and she hears that unfamiliar word. There are the wings fitted to the main wings that are attached to the outside rear of the main wings, and if you move the yoke left and right, the left wing's aileron is raised and the right is lowered. When that happens, the lift on the left wing is reduced, but the lift on the right wing is increased, and the aircraft banks. In other words, leans by rotating to the left. Leaning and turning, huh? It's the same as a bicycle. A bicycle has a handlebar, but you don't turn by moving it left and right, you turn it by leaning the bike. There is one more movement that can be made with the yoke, and that is pitching. Pitching, in short, moving the nose up and down. If you pull the yoke back, the nose goes up, and pushing it forward makes it go down. I try pushing the yoke forward. Whoa! The screen moves, and the percentage of the screen filled with the ground increases. The aircraft points downwards, and I feel a much greater sense of speed. By pointing the nose down, the aircraft drops air, but the speed also increases. I see. I imagine it sliding down on the air. This time, I tried pulling the yoke back. I was no longer able to see the horizon. I felt like it was floating, and I realized the speed was dropping. How is this controlled with the ailerons? Ailerons? You told us about just now? No, it isn't. Before you did experiments with paper airplanes, didn't we? The thing that controls the up and down movements of the aircraft is... When Katori was playing well with the tails on the airplanes, she made one do a beautiful loop-de-loop. Oh, the horizontal tailplane! Mono nods her head as if to say well done. Pitching, in other words, the up and down movements are controlled with a rudder called an elevator, attached to the horizontal tailplane. We've heard of the elevator before, of course, but this was different to the type that goes up and down in the buildings. Usually raising the nose increases lift. In other words, the aircraft will rise. However, if it is raised too much, it will lose lift instead. The airflow will no longer be able to move along the wings, and it will break away. This phenomenon is known as a stall. I don't need to explain what happens if you lose lift. You can't fly if there's no lift, and it will never fall. If that happens, there's nothing to do but fall. No, it's possible to straighten out. A stall can occur at any time, so it's necessary to undergo stall recovery training. Okay. Well, it is suggested that falling is a possibility. I find it hard to breathe. When you're flying through the air, even a tiny mistake can cost you your life. Shall we try dropping? Huh? Mono pulls back on the analog stick. The nose points further and further upwards, and then... It has exceeded the critical angle. It's stalled. Did I game over? The aircraft stopped moving as it was loading, and then the next moment the screen started spinning like crazy and it began hurling towards the ground. Game over.
It's a game over!
Well, that's what it's like. In training, stalls and spins are caused on purpose. Then recoveries are practiced. Actually, doing that in the air is really scary. You'll think that you're going to die. If you're scared of heights, then maybe that is really true. Because of how well the simulation was made, I got a powerful enough impression just from the graphics. Let's try it again. Amani selects the mode once more and we start flying. Okay, next is the rudder pedal. The simulation, which is controlled with the rudder. These operate the rudder, which is also known as the directional rudder. It is attached to the vertical tailplane. If you press the right pedal, it moves right. If you push the left pedal, it moves left. This controls yawing.
This does it sideways, but when you turn, you lose the ailerons of the wrong voice. You're the wings, right?
If you just use the ailerons, the aircraft is still facing forwards and moves like it's slipping along the side it banks on. What does that mean?
If it's facing forward, it would move diagonally, wouldn't it?
Money nods. Well, by operating the rudder at the same time, you can turn the nose in the direction you want to face. Like the handlebars of a bicycle, on a bicycle. While leaning the bike, you turn the handlebars in that direction. If you don't, you won't be able to turn well. Using bicycles as an example, the leaning the bike left or right is like the ailerons, and the handlebars are like the rudder.
I see! When you want to turn, you must use the ailerons and the rudder.
That's right. However, that alone isn't enough, not enough. When turning, leaning the aircraft causes a drop in lift, and the aircraft will drop down quite a lot. One sec. To keep as much speed as possible, when turning, you need to move the rocket sideways. And also bang back a little. When you turn, you must use all of the axes at the same time. Using what and when looks like it's quite intuitive. That's all. Those are the only controls you need when flying. Oops. After ending an explanation, I might need to turn the lights on.
It's pretty simple, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
When I heard unfamiliar words like aileron and rudder, it sounded complicated. But once I tried it, it was quite easy. Moving the yoke backwards, forwards, left and right, and pressing the left and right pedals. That's all there is to it. So as long as you don't try an aerial acrobatics, aerial acrobatic, there's almost no difficult controls. The thing you need to ride the glider is the power to find the wind. Find the wind? Where and what kind of wind is blowing, where the vertical drafts are. Finding the wind like that determines whether you can fly well or not. So you mean you need knowledge, experience, and intuition? Yes, that's correct. For you to learn how to read the instruments, firstly you must get used to them. Next you can practice by looking at the computer screen. Okay, got it. I sat there in front of the PC and started practicing immediately. We're going home. Club activities have finished, and we're on the way home.
It's so hot!
Oh, I know. I actually, in my break, I took my shirt off, and I'm still just blech. I'm blech. However, this is the first milestone of my first shirtless Let's Play. Oh, this isn't really Let's Play. Okay, I kind of this.
It's so hot!
Aji is fanning the chest of her sweat-drenched uniform. She sees me looking.
Oh, what are you looking at?
She senses me looking at her chest and asks cheerfully, oh god. You know, you should try to be a little more ladylike.
I got that one, my chest is the sweetiest paradise.
Is this sweatiest? Oh, I read that as sweetiest. Oh my god, I'm so stupid.
My chest is the sweatiest.
I nearly did it again! I did it again!
My chest is the sweatiest place. That's ladylike, isn't it?
I like her. She asks as she carries on fanning herself. I get a slight feeling that she's trying to show me.
The air conditioning in the garage is pretty weak, isn't it? My butt gets really hot.
Says Victoria as she wriggles her backside around. When it comes to these two, it's spacious and there's no effective heat insulation from the ceiling. It's like prefabricated building, there's no attic, and the heat from the sun transfers directly to the inside. Even if we turn on the air conditioning, it only has half the effect.
It's better than at the rubber club though, but I love the people so it gets really humid from the sweat.
Listening to Ajia's story, Katori makes a face that says, ew!
Alright, I'm going this way.
We get to the usual fork on the road where Ajia leaves us to go to the other direction.
See ya!
Hey Ajia,
Hmm?
do you want to get some ice cream from the convenience store?
Yeah, sure, but why all of a sudden?
You two were saying how hot it is and I suddenly felt like eating one. You want to eat one too, Katori?
Huh? Yeah, okay.
Katori seems to be thinking about Ajia being there when she answers. Okay, let's go. I start walking ahead. In the convenience store parking lot, I bite into the ice cream that I had bought. Hanging out in front of the convenience store is one of the privileges of being a high school student. Ajia got watermelon flavor, Katori got chocolate chip, and I chose vanilla monarch.
So you prefer the one sold in cups, Katori? Katori! Ice cream on a stick melts halfway through, and it makes your hands sticky, so I don't really like it.
Seems like everyone has their own preferences when it comes to ice cream.
Hey, Aoi! Hey, Aoi, how was the simulator?
I still don't really understand it. It was pretty tricky.
Which part was difficult?
It just feels like an inconvenience. It just feels kind of inconvenient, you know? When thinking about doing something, I'm not able to do it quickly. The feeling I get when I move it and the speed, it's quite easy to steer though.
If there's no wind, the ailerons, rudder, and elevator have no effect though.
That's right. Using the power of the wind to control the position of the aircraft. Of course, if the wind is strong, small movements of the controls have a big effect and vice versa. However, the glider doesn't have an engine. You can't easily speed up or slow down. If you do one thing, it affects everything else, and that's what makes it difficult. You can't just think about the current situation, you have to act accordingly to what will happen next. It means that experience is needed to ride this thing.
Did you feel good to fly it? Did it feel good to fly it?
Well, to be honest, the simulator didn't really feel that good at all. You're watching the screen, right?
Yeah, how should I say? It looked really frustrating. Compared to 3D simulator games, it was nowhere near as exhilarating.
Yeah, that's true.
It must be a lot different to actually flying, though.
I think so, I can imagine that somehow. How would it feel to fly through the sky in that thing, I wonder? It still feels a bit unclear.
It's nice, isn't it? I want to fly too. Why don't you give the simulator a try?
You can control everything with your hands.
No, I'm okay. Now's the time for you to do it, Oi.
I'll be patient for now. That's what it seemed she was saying. Without thinking, Ajia and I look at each other.
Okay, let's hurry up and make the wings so that we can actually fly it.
Yeah. If I can quickly become able to fly by myself, I can take Katori with me. I might be getting ahead of myself, but it's good to have a target.
I didn't win a prize. Pity.
Ajia finished eating her ice cream and threw the stick into the trash can. I finished eating too, so I threw my Monaka wrapper into the trash can.
Munch, munch.
Katori was still eating, and hardly ate the last of her chocolate chip ice cream. Brain freeze. It wasn't as bad as Amane, but the way she ate kind of ruined her pretty girl image. Then she rushed over in her wheelchair and came to throw the cup into the trash can. Does she think if she doesn't do it quickly, we'll leave her behind? Well, we were away from Katori. Ajia had come up beside me.
Thank you for being so considerate.
What do you mean?
For playing dumb. You invited Katori and I here for our sakes, didn't you?
I don't know, did I? Looking at me as I quietly play dumb, Ajia smiled cheerfully.
Oh, sorry to keep you waiting.
You didn't need to rush like that.
Okay, I'm off now. See you tomorrow.
Okay, see ya.
Bye-bye.
We see Ajia off and she waves her hand. I push Katori's wheelchair along the road back to the dormitory. Extend the little wings which fly in the sky highly. Bitch! Okay, I gotta finish this recording here. We will continue on. This is getting it's getting into the crux of it. Soon we'll be probably flying this thing. I cannot wait. Catch us in the next one.